When God closes a door, it is often the first moment where silence speaks louder than the noise of our desires. We stand in front of that closed door, hands pressed against the wood, knocking again and again, hoping for it to open just one more time. We convince ourselves that what is behind that door is everything we need, everything we deserve, everything that would finally make us whole. Yet the door does not move. No matter how much effort, no matter how many tears, the handle does not turn. And in that moment, frustration rises like fire within the chest. Questions echo why? Why was this taken from me? Why was the way shut? Why am I left standing in front of what feels like rejection? But the truth is, the closing of a door is never rejection, it is redirection. It is a subtle whisper of the divine saying, this is not the path for you. This is not the place where you will grow. This is not the space where your spirit will be nourished. And so the door closes, not to hurt you, but to guide you. Yet, we in our impatience, we fail to recognize the wisdom of what has been shut. When a door closes, the heart wants to resist, the mind wants to argue. We become prisoners of what we think we deserve, forgetting that life sees beyond our limited vision. What you see as an ending is often the beginning of something far greater. Think of a seed buried in the soil. The seed might believe that the soil is its grave, that darkness has closed in forever. But within that darkness, something is happening that the seed cannot understand. The shell is breaking, roots are forming, and soon a sprout will push through the very earth it thought would bury it. That is the same with the closing of doors. You may feel buried, but in truth, you are being planted. There are moments when people walk away from you and you think you have lost the love you needed. There are times when opportunities slip from your grasp and you feel you have missed your chance. There are situations where dreams collapse before your eyes and you believe you have failed. But what if the loss is not loss at all? What if it is protection? What if the one who left you was never meant to carry your soul into the future? What if the opportunity that escaped was never strong enough to sustain you? What if the dream that crumbled was too small compared to the vision God has prepared for you? The closing of doors is a test of faith. It asks you, will you trust what you cannot yet see? Will you believe that there is a greater design, even when your eyes are filled with disappointment? The human mind is conditioned to cling. We want control, we want certainty, but every closed door is an invitation to surrender control, to release the need for answers, and to walk forward even without clarity. The greatest journeys are often taken with uncertain steps, guided not by sight, but by trust. You see, when one door closes, another is already open. But the challenge is this: most of us spend so much time staring at the closed door that we fail to notice the one standing ajar, waiting for us to enter. We stand frozen in grief, paralyzed by longing, blind to the possibilities stretching in front of us. And so, life calls us to shift our gaze, to lift our eyes, and to move toward what is unfolding. Think of the river. When a rock falls into its path, the water does not stop flowing. It does not argue with the stone or attempt to push it aside. The river simply finds another way. It curves, it bends, it flows around the obstacle, and still it reaches its destination. In the same way, when life places a barrier, you must not cling to the blockage, but allow yourself to be like water, adaptable, resilient, always moving forward. The door may be closed, but the path is not. There is wisdom in endings. Endings are not failures. Endings are transitions. Endings are thresholds. The chapter must close for the story to continue. Imagine reading a book where no page ever turned. You would remain trapped in a single moment, unable to experience the fullness of the tale. Life closes doors because it knows you were never meant to remain stuck in the same room forever. To grow, you must be willing to step into the unknown, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels like loss. Sometimes the door that closes is one you pray to keep open. You begged for that relationship to last. You pleaded for that job to remain. You wished for that friendship to stay. And when it ended, you believed God had ignored your prayers. But perhaps God was answering them in a way you did not understand. Sometimes the greatest blessing is not getting what you asked for. Sometimes the protection comes disguised as disappointment. Sometimes the hand that takes something away is the same hand that is clearing the path for something greater. But here is the struggle when you are in the middle of it. The greater purpose is not visible. Pain clouds the vision, longing blurs the clarity. You do not yet see the new door, the new opportunity, the new path. And so it feels like betrayal. It feels like abandonment. It feels like silence. But silence is not absence. Silence is space for you to listen. Silence is the pause between the closing of one chapter and the opening of another. Silence is where transformation brews. When God closes a door, you are being asked to trust timing. We humans are addicted to instant results. We want to plant the seed today and eat the fruit tomorrow. But true growth does not happen in haste. There is a sacred rhythm to life. Just as the sun does not rise before the night is finished, your new path does not open until the old has fully closed. The door must be sealed before the next can appear. If both doors remained open, you would never commit to the journey ahead, always glancing back, always tempted to return. The closing is necessary. It is the finality that propels you forward. Many people misinterpret closed doors as punishment. They think, I must have done something wrong. I must be unworthy. I must have failed. But the shutting of a door is not condemnation. It is elevation. It is not a sign of your weakness, but of your readiness. For only when you are ready to step into more will life redirect you. Only when you are capable of carrying greater weight will the path shift beneath your feet. With the door is closed not because you are unworthy, but because you are being called to something higher. And yet, the ego resists. The ego wants certainty. The ego clings to what is familiar, even if it is harmful, even if it is too small. We stay in rooms that no longer fit us. We sit at tables where we no longer belong. We grip doors that were never meant for us. But the spirit cannot grow in confinement, and so the door closes. It closes to release you from the prison you built around yourself. It closes to remind you that your worth is not defined by what you lost, but by who you are becoming. When the door closes, something within you is forced to awaken. The familiar comfort that kept you at ease begins to fade, and what remains is the discomfort of uncertainty. This discomfort is not a punishment, it is an initiation. It is the fire that purifies, the storm that strengthens, the emptiness that prepares you to be filled anew. You cannot be transformed while clinging to what is stagnant. You cannot step into new light if you are still holding on to shadows. That is why the door must be shut, so that you may turn away from what no longer serves you and step into what is waiting to unfold. Consider the tree in autumn. Its leaves turn, its branches grow bare, and what was once green with life seems to wither. To the untrained eye, it appears as though the tree is dying, but what looks like death is actually preparation. The shedding of leaves makes space for survival through the winter and renewal in the spring. If the tree refused to let go, if it clung desperately to every leaf, it would break beneath the weight of snow. In the same way, when life closes a door, it is stripping away what you cannot carry into your next season. It is not destruction, it is preservation. Often, we do not realize how small the space behind the door was until it is closed. The room may have been too narrow for your spirit, too dim for your light, too shallow for your depth. Yet, because it was familiar, you stayed. You convinced yourself it was enough, even when your soul whispered for more. The closed door becomes the gentle but firm reminder you were not meant to shrink to fit into spaces that limit you. You were not created to dim your flame to make others comfortable. You were not born to circle the same room endlessly, mistaking survival for living. Sometimes the greatest prison is not the one built by others, but the one you build for yourself out of fear. Fear that you are not capable of more. Fear that you will fail if you step forward. Fear that the unknown will hurt you more than the known already has. So you stay clinging to the familiar pain rather than risking the unfamiliar freedom. And so the divine closes the door for you. We're not out of cruelty, but out of mercy, to push you beyond fear, to show you that you can walk in uncertainty and still survive, to prove that beyond your comfort zone lies the life you were meant to live. There is a quiet beauty in remembering that closed doors are not the end. They are thresholds. They are like gates in a garden. You pass through one to discover another field you never knew existed. The garden of your life is vast, yet if one gate remains forever open, you will never explore further. Closing is not abandonment, it is an invitation. It is life saying, "Come, there is more to see." Step further. Do not stop here. What is hidden behind the next door is never revealed immediately, for if it were, faith would be unnecessary. You would walk with certainty, but certainty does not strengthen the soul. Trust does. Trust is only born when sight is removed, when you cannot see what lies ahead, but you still move. When you cannot understand why this chapter ended, but you still turn the page. When you cannot explain why the loss occurred, but you still choose to rise. That is trust, that is faith, and that is why the door must close without warning, without explanation, without comfort. The closed door teaches you to rely on more than your understanding. It teaches you patience. It teaches you to breathe even when you are restless, to stand even when you are shaken, to wait even when nothing makes sense. Waiting is not weakness, waiting is strength. For it is in the waiting that your roots deepen, that your foundation solidifies, that your character matures. A tree does not bear fruit the day after it is planted. It must endure seasons of rain and seasons of drought, seasons of cold and seasons of warmth. You too must endure. You too must trust the process of unseen growth. When God closes a door, He is not just protecting you from what is behind it, but preparing you for what is ahead. Preparation is rarely pleasant. The clay does not enjoy being molded. The gold does not enjoy being refined by fire. The muscle does not enjoy being stretched and torn to grow stronger. Yet, through the discomfort comes the transformation. Through the fire comes the purity. Through the breaking comes the strength. What feels like loss is often only shaping. What feels like rejection is often only redirection. It is easy to believe in open doors. It is easy to celebrate beginnings, opportunities, blessings. But the true test of your spirit is whether you can honor the closing with the same gratitude, whether you can bow in respect to the ending even as you mourn, whether you can whisper, "Thank you," for the door that has shut, knowing that it was shut for your good. Gratitude for closed doors is one of the highest forms of trust, for it acknowledges that even in what you cannot see, goodness is present. Some doors close because the season has ended. Not every person is meant to walk with you forever. Not every friendship is designed to last a lifetime. Not every opportunity is meant to carry you to the end. Some are temporary guides, lessons, stepping stones. To cling to them beyond their time is to resist growth. You must learn to bless people as they leave, to release opportunities as they fade, to honor seasons as they pass. The door closed not because the journey was wasted, but because the purpose was fulfilled. Will be doors that close suddenly, leaving you breathless in the hallway of uncertainty. There will be doors that shut slowly, giving you time to grieve as you see the ending approaching. And there will be doors that you yourself must close, though your heart resists, because you know deep down that to remain would be to betray your own soul. Courage is required for all of these. Courage to let go, courage to trust, courage to step forward without knowing what waits. And when you do step forward, something remarkable happens. Slowly, the hallway that once felt dark begins to reveal light. A glimpse of a new door appears, a new opportunity, a new path. And when it opens, you realize something profound. You would never have reached it had the first door remained open. You would have stayed where you were, comfortable but unfulfilled, alive but not truly living. Only through the closing did you move. Only through the ending did you arrive here. But remember, new doors do not always look like you expect. Sometimes they appear disguised as struggle. Sometimes they come in the form of work that feels too hard, challenges that feel too heavy, paths that feel too uncertain. Yet within them lies the very strength, wisdom, and opportunity you longed for. Do not reject a new door because it looks different from what you imagined. Do not walk away from it because it does not feel easy. The greatest blessings often enter through disguise. The greatest growth often comes clothed in discomfort. Every door that closes is a reminder that life is in motion. You are not meant to remain stagnant. You are meant to evolve, to expand, to rise higher. The bird cannot remain in the egg. The butterfly cannot remain in the cocoon. The child cannot remain in the womb. Growth demands transition, and transition requires endings. The closed door is not an enemy. It is an ally of your evolution. It forces you to break free from what is too small, to stretch into what is greater, to become who you truly are. And so, when you find yourself standing before a closed door, do not let despair consume you. Stand in stillness, breathe, listen, trust that beyond this door, something awaits that is more aligned with your spirit, more fitting for your growth, more expensive for your journey. Let the tears fall if they must, but let your feet keep moving. For every ending carries you closer to the beginning that was always meant for you. And so, when you reflect on every door that has been shut in your life, see them not as barriers, but as bridges. What seemed like loss was shaping, what felt like rejection was protection, what appeared to be the end was the quiet beginning of something far greater. The closing of doors is not a sign that you are forgotten. It is proof that you are being guided. Each door that shuts behind you frees you to step into spaces that carry more light, more truth, more growth. Trust the rhythm of endings, for they are the very hands that carry you into new beginnings. Do not grieve the doors that no longer open, honor them, release them, and walk forward with faith. For in every closed door lies a divine whisper, reminding you that your journey is not finished, your story is not over, and the path ahead holds more than you could ever imagine.